Take two. The meeting has been called to order. We do have everyone present tonight. We did on the July 7th meeting not have a quorum, so we canceled that meeting. And we'll go ahead and move right in. Approval of minutes from the June 16th meeting.
I would motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have nothing under petitions, comments by citizens, reports of committees, boards, and commissions. We have the clerk treasurer's report for period ending June 30th, 2025. Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Crystal, would you just enlarge this a little bit? I'm going to focus on the top line tonight of the spreadsheet, and that is the difference between the beginning balance or the ending balance in May and the beginning balance. This reflects the payment that we got for property tax distribution late in June. It came in the last week, and it always does. Would you do me a favor and switch over to the actual spreadsheet that I put out there? Because I put a comparison where we were last year to this year. Yes. And then if you could enlarge it just a little bit for me. What I tried to do is show you when we get distributions in from year to year, or kind of get to a mid-year point like what we're doing now. I try to show you where we kind of are in comparison to where we were a year ago. The top section of this is just where the general fund and the investments are laid out. General fund meaning all of the various funds that are allocated in the general fund itself came to these balances, and you'll see we're a little bit lower this year than we were last year. But if you'll remember, last year about this time we were starting to put money aside or into the fire station up front. So we took cash from the general fund, we took cash from TIF, and put a large portion of cash into that. So the balance is a little lower this year. All in all, investments are down about $1 million, but part of that was because that's where we took TIF from. Is we had a money market that had a little over $1 million last year with them, and we took that out of there. The next section down shows you the actual just the general fund line itself. So a year ago, we had 5.2 million, and this year we've got 3.8. And so you'll see last year when we put money into the, I thought I had it with me, into the fire station, we actually put in about $1.5 million out of our own pocket for it. So that accounts for some of the downturn there. But what we wanted to do is stay at north of 50% of operating expenses for the year. And so we are still in really good shape with that. So we've got 3.8 million in cash on hand. We've got 2.4 million in investments. And would you scroll up a little bit for me then, Crystal, to the next section down there. This is how the distribution came through for us from property taxes. It was about a push. So in terms of general fund allocated dollars from property taxes, we got $22,000 less this year. But if you look through, all of the other allocations were about equal as well until you get down to debt service for the GO bond. Now, we have not used the GO bond yet. The GO bond is money that we have in-house for the widening of US 6 out by the airport. And that's what that will be used for. But from a property tax standpoint, we are able to have them allocate a portion of the property taxes towards debt service for that. So when we get it in, it goes into a fund that is allocated just for that debt service. So when the time comes to pay the bond, we go there first. And then if there's a timing difference, we'll pay it out of the general fund, and then we'll reimburse the debt service fund to kind of get it to zero. And then the last line I wanted to show you is based off of the assessed values that we've had over the course of the last year. This is where the TIF monies come in, and TIF had a roughly $200,000 increase this year from last year, and they have about $3.5 million in cash on hand right now. If you took the money that they have in a CD on top of it, it's right around $5 million. There's some allocated costs that will be coming up in the second half of the year that will draw that down a little bit. But that shows you kind of what is expected right around the 630 mark of each year. This is the layout. We're in good shape overall. We have the reserves that we required to have on hand. And so overall, I feel pretty good about where we are right now. And I'll open it up for questions.
Council, any questions?
Was that first payment on the GO bond, this fall, like October, November, September?
Oh, we already made it.
Oh, it's already happening.
Yeah, we've made, I think, 3 payments on it.
And we are still in the process of acquiring the property out there. That's why it hasn't moved yet. So Brian and I are working on getting that done, and then utilities will need to be relocated. And so it might be a little bit of time yet until that project takes place. We're hoping that it would be a little bit sooner than that, but just taking us a little bit of time to get things around. So
And Denise, if you'd like this at the end, so you don't have to write everything down. You can have that.
This is helpful. Thank you. You guys always do
Yeah.
a lot of good work summarizing things. That is very much appreciated.
And if there's anything else that you guys would like to see or need to see, feel free to contact Jeff. And we try to get that information to you. Okay. If there are no further questions, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We accept the clerk treasurer's report for June 30th, 25, part 1 and 2, mid-year.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? Not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We have nothing under unfinished business. Under new business, we have resolution 791-25, reimbursement of expenses for McCormick Creek Golf Course Clubhouse. We have done this in the past on other similar projects where we are getting ready to incur costs of a project before the financing and bond closing occurs. This just allows us to reimburse ourselves for those costs that we may have ahead of time. So in that, I think it just gives us the authority to pay ourselves back. If we pay anything, there's a couple of exhibits of what the golf course plans and exterior look like, and then some the budget breakdown as it stands right now from Ace Builders, and then some of the soft costs that we had in there. What this does not include is cost of issuance of bonds, which that will be addressed in closing. I've attached a schedule in there as well. I have a tentative schedule of the approvals that still need to happen. It will go to the redevelopment commission tomorrow. They will preliminarily approve the lease, and then it goes to the redevelopment authority. They preliminarily approve the lease, and then there's a public hearing at redevelopment commission where the lease is actually finalized. It comes back to council, and we approve the lease, and then we appropriate funds for it. This project is scheduled to be paid for through using funds from the golf course, revenues that are generated from the golf course and future anticipated revenue that we plan to generate with the new clubhouse. So this is not something that's funded by the redevelopment commission. This was all funded by revenues generated by the golf course. So, and we've been very fortunate over the past few years to see that revenue increase. And with the new clubhouse, we anticipate that to increase even more to cover the cost of this lease rental bond. So tonight, this resolution is just to reimburse ourselves for the costs we might incur. Any questions?
Maybe it's premature, but prior to the meeting, you did a good job of explaining kind of the
Yeah.
next step from the developer standpoint on the money or
Yeah.
risk that they shoulder versus kind of when the bond kicks in, when
Yes.
they get reimbursed for their stuff.
Yeah.
Can you give an
Yeah,
overview of that?
yep. So Chris and his team, they set up a committee, and we went with the build, operate, transfer, which is Indiana Code 5-23. We sent out a request for qualifications for developers. We kind of gave them a description of what we were looking for a clubhouse.
but just wanted to find out who's done similar projects, and they created a team. We reviewed the qualifications from different developers that submitted and selected Ace Builders. And once that team is selected, they go through a scoping period, where they go through a design, go through a cost of the project, and then that is presented to council. I think we did that in May. Is it May 17th? I believe we kind of presented the preliminary report for this to get approval whether or not we move forward. And now we're in the process of the project is moving forward. We just need to work out the financing for it. That's going to be through a bond. And so that we're working with Baker Tilly, our financial consultant, and Ice Miller, our bond counsel, to come up with the parameters in this lease, and then they will send that out for sale on the open market for bonds. It might go to a bank, or it might end up on the open market. So those are the two options that we have to us. So, and then as far as the developer goes, we've talked to Ace Builders, and I think they're willing to absorb some of the cost. A lot of the BOTs, they'll go through construction and then they'll transfer the project to the community, whoever's doing the BOT. We're not asking them to do that in this case. We're just getting to closing, which is scheduled to happen in October right now. In that timetable, you'll see that's when that is scheduled to close. And at that point, we can work out a payment arrangement to Ace Builders and have that paid, use the bond. We'll have access to those bond funds at that point. So, and you'll be seeing the build, operate, transfer agreement. We'll be bringing that to you in the next few weeks as well. But this is the process to go through the financing.
I think I know the answer to this, but there's no negotiation that can happen with the bond terms in terms of interest rate or otherwise that the city could leverage in our favor from an interest rate standpoint?
There is, and that's one of the things we're looking at, whether or not you might get more favorable interest rates on a bond, but there are debt service reserve that you need to have on hand. So like a year's bond payment needs to be held in reserve. So you have to put that money up front. A bank might be higher interest, but you might not have to have that debt service reserve. And so we need to look at with Baker Tilly on what's our best option. So there is some negotiation, and I think that's depending on what they'll send out an RFP to the banks for the bonding agencies and determine what's best for this project.
What was the date that all of that stuff will be spelled out from Ice Miller, the terms of the bond?
The terms of the bond will be, let's see, if you can scroll down, Crystal, keep going. It's in the lease, but so it's in that September time period. Once the GMP is determined, redevelopment commission and trying to think, where was the council adopts a resolution approving the bonds, the lease, the trust indenture, and pledges the general revenue bond. So that's where, Brian, is that?
I think it's like in September 23rd, that's when there's approval of the trust indenture, and you'd have to authorize the sale of bonds, so you'd have to be.
Everything, yeah. So we'll have like if that is the case, we'll have a sample bond that we'll have in that document.
Right.
Very similar to what we did with the fire station. Same
We don't know what
process.
we don't have any clue what those terms are as we sit here today.
Right. I mean, the numbers that they're giving us are based on what they project interest rates might be. And so interest rates might be, by the time we get to closing, might be a little bit lower.
We'll probably know a lot about terms. It just wouldn't be in financial terms in terms of interest rates, but I mean, in terms of how it operates and, you know, whether you can accelerate payment, those types of things. We'll know that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Yep. And if we do decide to go to the banks first, when the banks don't work out, we go to the open market. It might delay closing a little bit, but I think that's where
they'll kind of advise us on what the best route to go is.
Is the next time council will see anything on this, middle of September?
Yes. Well, on the financing piece of it, we might, if the financing piece is moving forward, we'll probably get that, BOT agreement selected. So you guys might see that in the next couple meetings. So.
This resolution is just in the affirmative or not to pay ourselves
Pay
back.
ourselves back, correct. It's something they will include in the actual lease.
And we do this is common, meaning
Yeah.
bond issues.
The transcript for the bond, right? How many pages was that for the fire station? Hundreds of
It
pages.
was lots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to think about it.
You're welcome to read through the fire
It
station.
was a bunch.
Any other questions? I want to make sure that everyone understands the process and it's not something we do every day. So. Okay. If not, do we have a motion on resolution 791-25?
I'd motion to approve resolutions 791-25 as presented.
Thank you, Ben.
Second that motion.
Thank you, Austin. Any other questions? And again, if you have any questions as we move along, please feel free to reach out to me or Jeff or Chris and ask any questions. But okay, if not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Do I need to do a roll
Oh,
call
yes,
on this?
please. Sorry.
Ben,
Yes.
Austin? Yes. Amy?
Yes.
Dustin?
Yes.
Kelby?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. We are to approval of accounts payable vouchers.
There are two registers in this week, and that's just because of the way the meeting went the last time around. I'll just cover the highlights like I normally do, and if you have questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. In the one that was presented last time, or would have been presented last time, there was the 248,500 was the largest singular payment in there, and that was the fire station bond that was due at the time. And so that's been made, and that also consists of 2 payrolls and a pension payroll, which is about 630,000. And then we also had done a study for some of the properties that we have where we're trying to establish market rates for rentals and such. And we have an agreement with Caldwell Banker for that, and for them to do that was 18,900. So those are the largest of the expenditures in there for the last time around. Tonight there is a payment for the new fire station of about 68,000, and that's on page 11. Artwork for the cartoon alley has been done, and that's about 19,000. Then you have your Borden, which is a normal monthly expenditure of about 50,000, and payroll, which is about 340. That all. So.
Any questions on either one of the APVs?
One of these should have, could have been approved last meeting, right? Had we had it or no?
Yeah, but because there was a bond payment in there, the request was just to go forward with the payment of, we had payroll and the bond payment, and then come back around and get it approved at this meeting instead. Kind of.
Good question. Any others? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve APVs for the July 7th and the July 21st as presented on the agenda.
Thank you, Dustin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. I think you have, reports of the fire and the police. Steve, anything else you want to add other than your report? Any questions? Okay. If not, anything else for the good of the order? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. We will be getting, some dates out for the budget. Or probably September, October.
The 19 in here for the alley.
Yes.
Was that the total cost of that project?
No, total cost is